G'day, I'm Chris and this is Game Chambers. We are back after a little bit of a break. Had a few family issues, sicknesses. It's not something we really need to get into, but we are finally back with Total War Warhammer 3, and I've taken part in another one of Logic's Shortbeard leagues, and I've joined the Domination League. So this is the first of that series, with myself versus MrGoodCat. So game one, we've ended up with my Cathay versus his Nurgle. I believe the bands were Tzeentch and Ogre Kingdoms. There was a blind pick, blind ban system. So we'll quickly go through the armies on this screen and then we'll jump into the battle. So I've taken Miao Ying and Double Sentinel with 3 Peasant Spears as my opening army. And in my reserve you can see I've brought a whole bunch of crossbowmen without shields, Jade Warriors, a couple of Peasant Horsemen, a couple more Peasant Spearmen, 2 Jade Halberds, a cannon, and 1 unit of Longmar Riders. So the strategy, or the idea with this, was Miao Ying and the Sentinels take a point, and then I've just bring in the rest of the infantry to pin down the Nurgles as they try and approach, and use the crossbows and the cannon to try and kill what they can. MrGoodCat has come in with a Herald of Nurgle, a Soul Grinder of Nurgle, the Plague Drones with Death's Heads, Forsaken of Nurgle, and some Chaos Furies. And for his reserve he has another unit of Plague Drones, the Exalted Plague Bearers, Spawn of Nurgle, the Pox Riders, the Beast of Nurgle, Forsaken, a couple of Plague Bearers of Nurgle, a couple of Frogs, which are what they call Plague Toads, a couple of Furies, and a couple of Nurglings. So let's see how this battle goes. So we're playing today on the Broken Leg Gully. It's a very cannon-friendly map, so it's a good one for Grand Cathay. Basically got a firing lane down the middle, and you can even set up and fire up onto point 3 and point 1 from basically from the back of your deployment zone. So it's a very good cannon map, probably not a very good one for Nurgle, but they do have artillery and he does have the Soul Grinder. So we'll just go half speed, just have a quick look at the deployments and the abilities. So Miao Ying, you can see, has come in with Earthblood, Talons of the Night, Life Bloom, and yeah, I didn't take her other one, Arcane Conjure. I didn't take the other ability that she comes with. And the Herald of Nurgle has come in with, what's he got? Locus of Fecundity, Rancid Visitations, and Fleshy Abundance, along with, I think, yeah, the Children of Nurgle and Arcane Conduit. So a bit of healing, a little bit of damage, and he's gone for an Air Force. Now, we were actually in voice chat during this game, so that's why it wasn't recorded live, and he was expecting me to bring a bit of a Cathay Air Force, so he's tried to go a bit of a counter to that. And instead I've gone Double Sentinel with Miao Ying, expecting to be facing off against a couple of Great Unclean Ones and an Exalted Great Unclean One. So we both thought each other were going with a different build, and it's turned out that neither of us went for what we expected the other to go for. So you can see here I'm moving up the Peasant Spears to take my back point, while the other 2 Peasant Spears and the Sentinels and Miao Ying are going to head down the middle. So I'm thinking I'm going to fight over 2 and 1, because Cathay, much like Nurgle, doesn't do very good at fighting for the enemy, or the deep location. And they're far better off trying to hold 2 points that are close to each other and just trying to get rid of the static formation. So my first reinforcement is the Jade Warrior Crossbowman. On seeing what he's got, I kind of wanted a bit of ranged support to deal with the flyers, and get Miao Ying up in the sky to fight them, and use the crossbows to give her that range support. Sentinels are pushing forward. I want to try and zone out this Soul Grinder so that it can't bomb the peasants. As you can see here, it's clearly what he's trying to do, take out the Jade Crossbowman, which is definitely the right target for him to be going for. And do those shots come to land? Yep, there we go, and half health in 1 volley from that Soul Grinder. Quite devastating, so we need to try and zone that thing out and push it back as quickly as we can, which is what the Sentinels are going to try and do. Miao Ying fighting the Plague Drones up in the air to try and stop them firing, and the Herald of Nurgle and the Chaos Furies are coming in. So I'm starting to think that this might not be a good engagement for her. She takes a Rancid Visitation, it's doing a little bit of damage to her there. And it looks like I've got some Jade Warriors with Halberds. Spawned them on this side, because originally I was going to push him up to point 3, but now on second thoughts I've decided to bring him into the middle, because the Peasant Spears might be in a bit of trouble otherwise. Though with all this Air Force coming from Miao Ying, I've decided to drop her down to the ground in human form. So this not only means that I can bring the Spears in to assist, but it also means that she can heal. So it looks like I didn't do a very good job bringing the Peasant Spears in. And there we go, we bring him in a little bit late. And I was hoping to have a bit of support from the Jade Crossbows, but they're not really able to help out at the moment. Sentinels still doing their thing, trying to hold up the Nurgle army. Mr. GoodCat has done a good job of pulling back the Soul Grinder to make sure it doesn't get tied up or destroyed by the terracottas, and still raining those range fire down. Now I got another unit of Jade Warriors coming in, and he's got Beast of Nurgle and some more Plague Bearers coming in. So the Beast of Nurgle is coming in as a bit of a counter to the Terracotta Sentinels. Love the Talons of the Dragon coming in here on the Plague Bearers. Still doing 9 damage from Miao Ying. Miao Ying's still fighting over here. The Peasant Spear is now saturating in around the Nurgle army that's here, and the crossbows firing in as this unit of Peasant Long Spears moves in just to hold up the Forsaken. So I know they're not going to win that fight. Peasant Long Spears are no match for Forsaken. So I don't really have an option to deal with them at the moment. So I'm thinking I might have to send Miao Ying back into dragon form or get these Jade Warriors with halberds. So to make up for the fact that the Jade Warriors are going, halberds are going to the middle, I've summoned just some regular Jade Warriors on the left flank to go for that high back point, just keep a bit of pressure on it. With the damage this Soul Grinder has been causing me, I have decided to summon in my cannon to see if it can deal with the Soul Grinder. The Sentinels are still sort of pressuring it, trying to push it back and hold up what they can of the Nurgle army. As you can see here, I've taken point 1. Point 2 is also about to be taken, and there we go, we've got point 2, and point 3 belongs to Nurgle. Now he's starting to send these Nurglings down, but I think he'll seize the Jade Warriors here, because the Jade Warriors are going to start putting pressure on that, just to keep Nurgle from getting all their forces on the end. Yeah, there we go, the Nurglings are heading back. Cannons are online now, firing happily into that Soul Grinder, and now we've got the Jade Warriors with halberds have made it up to support Miao Ying, and they've got this Herald Nurgle completely surrounded. He is a large target on the rock wall, and he also has relatively low mass. If I can get it before he dies. There we go, so his mass is 2300 compared to, well, what's Miao Ying? I guess she's on foot at the moment, so she's 1000. Let's compare it to something like the Soul Grinder is 4000, and the Sentinels I think are even more than that. Oh, that's still the Soul Grinder. Yeah, 6,500. So his mass is significantly less than another big, large entity, so he actually seemed to struggle to get out of that massive infantry. So the halberds and the spears and Miao Ying managed to drag down the Lord there. These Forsaken push off the Peasant Long Spear and don't really get back into action in time. And managed to get those blood down to try and help those Jade Warriors with halberds. Cannon's still happily firing away, trying to do some damage to that Soul Grinder, but it's proving to be quite resilient back there. But as are the two Seraphim Sentinels, so it's still firing in. You can see how much damage it does with this volley. Missed a fair bit, so did a little bit of damage to the Jade Warriors, so we've sort of surrounded these Forsaken with the units here. And now we're going to push forward just to the edge of the point. We do hold 2 victory points here, 1 and 2. And it looks like I brought in some Peasant Horsemen on this flank, just to make sure there was nothing trying to sneak up around this way. And now I'm just going to bring them around and use them to harass and flank a little bit. These Jade Warriors are still going to just trying to push these Nurglings back. And I believe the Peasant Horsemen are coming over to support, because the Jade Warriors are on their own over here. Cannon's still going in on that Soul Grinder. Oh no, it looks like I've switched it onto the Plague Drones for a minute. Just to try and put a bit of pressure on them. Jade Longmars have come in to try and clean up the last of the Air Force and give me a fast-moving reactionary force so that I can protect all the points with a minimal investment. So having fast mobile units like the Jade Longmar, the Great Longmars, means that you can have less troops defending a point and then use them to assist in the fights. They're no good at capturing because as flying units they have 0 capture weight, so they're useless at the initial fighting to take the points, but they're really good at helping you hold on to points. You can see here Jade Warriors are charging to the front, and I'm bringing the Peasant Horsemen now around the back to get into the rear of those Plague Bearers of Nurgle. And looking at what else is coming, he's got Plague Toads coming. I decided to send the Great Longmar Riders over there, so even though I've already got 2 capped, I want to keep the pressure on here so that Nurgle can't push either of these 2 points to try and keep them busy. Try to fight for the 1 point that they do have. With the middle secured, I've decided to put Miao Ying back into dragon form, send her over here. Since the Sentinels are still holding firm, I think they've had a couple of Earthbloods to keep them going. But they're fighting firm, keeping the Nurgle well away from this point. So if this fight was over here, Nurgle might have had the capture weight to swing this victory location. Not sure. Possibly because of the spawn. The spawn had definitely got a better capture weight than the other units around them. So if the Sentinels had fought on this victory location, we might have actually lost it, and that would not be. We would not be in the dominant position we are at the moment. Peasant horsemen get beaten up by the Ox Riders and Nurgle, so you could kind of expect that. But Miao Ying's over here now, as are the Great Longmar Riders, so the Nurglings are disintegrating. Is it disintegrating? No, what do they actually call it? Unstable. Instability? Banished. So they've been banished. Oh, here it is. Trying to get instability. Yeah. Oh, there's the banished. So they're shattering Dawn. And the Plague Bearers and the Pox Riders are still fighting. So I think I might get the Longmar Riders to cycle charge. Looks like I'm leaving them. Yeah, there we go. You don't want to leave a Longmar unit in combat because you see they've got 75 charge bonus. Definitely want to be having them cycle charging. See where infantry has been pushed off in the middle. So if this fight was occurring on the point, it for sure would have been in Nurgle's favour. They would have been able to have this point, and we would be in a lot more trouble. So the fact that we were able to keep these Sentinels fighting on Nurgle's side of the map has allowed us to keep control over point 2. You can see Nurgle sending some Nurglings over here to victory point 1. At this point, it's still within reach for Nurgle to get a 2 cap. So if Nurgle caps 2 locations, they will still be able to get enough victory points to win the game. I'm not in the point where they have to triple cap yet. Sentinel's still going strong, just sending some peasant horsemen in just to try and help break the units, the morale that are here. And I probably shouldn't be, but the Jade Warriors and Jade Warrior Halberds are pushing forward a little bit fast, so I have nothing on this point now, which against Nurgle is probably not the worst thing, but I'm bringing forward some more Jade Warriors, Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, while the cannon continues to fire in. Bringing some Jade Warrior Crossbowmen on this left flank as well, just to give them additional fire support. Most Nurgle troops are slow and lightly armoured, so crossbows are quite effective against them. We've got here more Plague Toads coming in. And Miao Ying's coming over this way to try and drop down some more Earthbloods on these Sentinels. So you can see here, I'm following the same tactic I was doing before, just pushing Nurgle back. At this point, it's going to be very hard for Nurgle to recover. Like, they could recover with a double cap, but they have to get past this front line. Miao Ying's about to drop a heal. And over here, we do have more Nurglings coming in to pressure these Peasant Spears in point 1, but I still have the Longmar Riders, and like I was saying before, they are highly mobile, so they're going to be able to come back over here, support those spearmen, and make sure we hold on to that location, even with the Plague Toads and the other unit of Nurgles coming in. You can see here the Jade Warriors, they're going up this way. So I'm setting another Jade Warrior unit up here just to try and take the point and just secure the game completely. Another heal going down from Miao Ying, and these crossbowmen are sitting on a point now trying to get a bit of extra fire in. Where did those Jade Longmars go? Oh, they're still cycle charging over here, so I haven't decided to move them over yet, which I'm not sure why. So they can't cap this point, so we need these Jade Warriors, which I probably should have kept going this way, but I've now brought them back to the middle, probably to protect these crossbows. But another Jade Warrior and Jade Warrior Crossbowmen heading up to point 1 to try and secure that. And at this point, I think I'm significantly in front on value, in addition to having 2 of the points, and this one nearly captured as well. So at this point, Nurgle's only chance would be a triple cap, and there's got essentially no chance of that happening in the centre here. And they've even lost point 3 and point 1, so we might just fast forward a little bit here as the points tick up. You can see the Great Longmars. Oh, I dropped them in the middle. I thought I would have headed over to point 1 to try and prevent that capture, but it looks like Nurgle actually manages to get point 1 from me. And do we get this point from them? No. So Nurgle has 2 capped at the moment, but it's not going to be enough because you'll see the points are close, and point 2 has got no threat slot to it whatsoever. So we'll just be able to tick up the last few points and get to 5,000 here. A good game to my opponent. There was a few things that we could have done differently there. I'm not a big Nurgle player, so I'm not sure what he should have brought differently, but I think he needed to focus more on 2 points and push on to the points. Because that fight at the back with the Sentinels, it was definitely in his favour capture weight wise, but it just wasn't being fought on a capture point. So I don't know if they could have pushed past the Sentinels to get onto the capture point, but having that fight not near the capture point really hurt Nurgle in the long run. So a good game to my opponent there, Mr. Goodcat. Pretty sure it's Mr. Goodcat. Yeah, Mr. Goodcat. So let's have a look at some of the values. So Miao Ying, 2900, quite good there with those Talons of the Dragon spell, I believe it's called, and the Dragon form. The 2 Terracotta Sentinels actually paid for themselves and then some, holding a line to the front. This unit of spears I think must have been the one that was involved in the surround of the Herald of Nurgle, and the other 2 just did okay. Longmarch Riders didn't get their value back, but they were definitely still up and running at the end of the game, and their mobility was priceless. Cannon definitely doubled its value and still going. So that was the other thing that we probably could have had from Nurgle, would have been to call in some Furies to try and deal with this cannon, because it was definitely accruing a lot of value at the back there. You can see the crossbowmen that were on the field, the ones that were on for long, got to accrue quite a bit of value, but the infantry, Cathay infantry very rarely actually pays for themselves, even against units that can't hit back very hard. And the last 2 cavalry. And the Nurgle, I mean, the Soul Grinder did quite well. It was destroying the peasants, J crossbow archers, and doing extremely well there. Plague Drones and Nurgle actually got quite a bit of value, and the Forsaken always do well against Cathay. So more Forsaken would have been good. Fighting on the points would have also been good, and more aggressive use of Furies to jump onto the back line would be what I would try and do in retrospect. Yeah, you can see the Forsaken always get quite a lot of kills against Cathay. They do struggle to deal with them too, because Cathay doesn't really have any good armor-piercing tools beside range to deal with the Forsaken armor. Alright, so that was game 1, and let's have a look at game 2. So game 2, I've picked Kislev, and Mr. GoodCat has picked Tzeentch. I don't remember what the bans were here. Yeah, I think I banned Kislev because I didn't want to risk a mirror match, and Mr. GoodCat I think banned Tzeentch. Yeah, I think we actually banned the race that we ended up picking. So I've gone with Kostaltyn, pretty stripped down with just the survivability items, basically because I was expecting some hero sniping, and Kostaltyn is quite resilient to that. I've only gone with 2 war sleds. I'm actually managing to deal with war sleds a lot better on ladder than I used to, so I'm guessing a lot of players are starting to learn how to deal with mass bulk war sleds, but a couple of them could still be useful. I've gone with armoured Cossards because their armour and silver shield will make them extremely resilient to most Tzeentch shooting, and just a couple of regular Cossards to give a little bit of extra range and fire support to the front line. In reserve, I'm coming with 2 Bear Cavalry, anti-large armor-piercing units, basically to deal with any Doom Knights or Chaos Knights that happen to rock up in the fight. A couple of Ice Guard with swords. I figured these might be useful against any spawn or other demons. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly how useful they would be, but I did try them. Zarguard, again, not sure why I brought the Great Weapon variant here. This maybe just to deal with Forsaken, now that I think about it. Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably why I brought them. And a couple of Zarguard with shield again, because of the high armor, and the silver shield makes them very resilient, and they're just a very tanky unit. A couple of Snow Leopards. Essentially, my thought there was to use them for spawn or chasing off after your flamers, exalted flamers, just using them as a rapid response anti-large tool. And a couple more Cossards just to fill in the points, give me a couple of more cheap units. And we have Kairos here. It's got Pendulum down in the bottom, but he doesn't actually have Pendulum. We're playing under a rule set where the Pendulum was banned, so I don't remember what spells he had. I think he had, I think the one with the Tzeentch's Firestorm, maybe. I'll have to see in the game. Burning Chariot of Tzeentch. Now, I saw a video from Anticity recently showing how well this can actually do against single entities and against the light war sleds. So that's obviously a counterpiece to war sleds and powerful single entities, and a whole bunch of horrors as you expect from Tzeentch. And in reserve, we've got the Doom Knights, the Chaos Knights, both heavily armoured, highly mobile, hard-hitting units. Got the Spawn, Receiver is very resilient, the Flamers, really high damage, Forsaken, again, really good on Tzeentch, reasonably heavily armoured. They've got the Barrier, they've got high damage, got magic attacks, high weapon strength, yeah, just good unit all around. Screamers, more horrors, and some Furies. So let's have a look at how this game goes. Playing on Galleon's Cove. I really quite like this one if you've got an artillery sort of build. You can sit up on the hill and fire down at points 1 and 2, but I don't really have much in the way of artillery, so I don't think I'm going to do that this game. So here we are, we've got everything deployed here. Decided to send the war sleds around this way and everyone else into the middle. Thoughts being I could probably send one unit to point 1, maybe a unit to point 3 a bit later, and fight between points 2 and 3, I believe is what I was going to try and do here. And we can see here MrGoodCat is moving everything down to points 2 and 3 as well. A little bit of posturing first as we come around, see what each other's armies are and see what we're going to do about it. So as I see Kairos and the burning chariot, I realise that it's probably going to be a bit of trouble. Kairos can pin me in place and the burning chariot can shoot. But I get a little bit greedy and decide I want to get a little bit of poke on them here, so I do come in, trying to get a bit of damage onto Kairos. Actually switch to the burning chariot once I realise it was there, but there's probably not a whole lot of reason to try and poke Tzeentch like that, because as you can see, I didn't even drop their barriers, so shooting them was just a complete waste of the ammunition there. So I decided to do a little bit of shooting here, just to see if I can get a little bit of damage on the blue horrors. Again, because of the barrier, it's a mistake. It's literally just a waste of ammunition. And here, I pay for that mistake. Tzeentch drops down the, I think it's the Gaze of Fate. Yep, Gaze of Fate. And they just start absolutely demolishing the unit of light war sleds that got caught. So I paid for trying to put some damage on them with basically the whole unit of sleds here is taking massive amounts of damage. You can see I'm running Kostaltyn as fast as I can towards them, thinking I might be able to save them with a heal. One of the sleds goes down and Kostaltyn gets caught up in his own armoured Kossars. So I don't know what's going on with this, but I have noticed that single entities struggle to push through their own units, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So Kostaltyn can't even get to support these light war sleds. They're gone, and I figure, well, let's just leave them. I'm not going to bother chasing them just to heal them now. And there's the Tzeentch's Firestorm, goes down in the middle, and I managed to split the army up to get them out of here. So I'm just moving these armoured Kossars forward, try and get into pistol range. They will trade really well with the blue horrors because of the shields and the armour. And you can see there all that pink and blue fire coming in, and the armoured Kossars health barely moving. Absolutely taking it like champions there. What have we brought in from reserve? So I bring in some Zarguard and some Ice Guard here. I figured if I'm going to bring in something to flank, I'll bring in some very resilient units. Try and get some fire in. The Ice Guard I thought might have some really nice DPS against the blue horrors, ignoring their physical resistance. They're going to take a little while to get there, and I sort of mess up and let the Ice Guard lead the way, so the Zarguard should definitely be leading the way here. You can see all this fire coming in. The armoured Kossars are still absolutely loving it. The bear chariots have gone in with Kostaltyn. Now, I'm pretty sure a heal has gone down on the bear sleds, but there's only one left and it's running away now. So Kostaltyn has been Gaze Faded, and you can see he's taking some damage here. The burning chariot is doing a little bit of damage there, so he probably should try to come a little bit more overhead before firing it, and here is where I've made a huge mistake. Zarguard should be in front. Blue horrors instead are teeing off on the Ice Guard. They've only got 40 armour, no physical resist, which wouldn't help against magic damage, and they're just getting eviscerated there. Now I saw these spawn coming in, so I've summoned a couple of leopards to try and come in and assist, so that's my fast reaction anti-large units trying to come in. And do I cap this point? Yeah, having unit Kossars over there and cap the point. So we got 2 to 1 for a cap. And I don't know why this leopard went the long way around, but he's coming in anyway. Get that anti-large onto the spawns that don't have any spears. You can see here the blue horrors push in on the Ice Guard, and they decided, well, I've screwed them up. I'm just going to let them keep fighting anyway. You can see that burning chariot just eviscerate one of the light war sleds there. So it's actually been a very good counter to the war sleds. Kostaltyn is then going to try and see what damage he can do to them. Yeah, probably should have put these Ice Guard back, but at this point I was like, well, whatever. I screwed that up and they're in trouble. We got a heal going down on the spawn. I think that's probably a regrowth from Kairos, is it? Yeah, there's a regrowth. And these flamers are getting some nice damage on my Kossars. They are trying to trade range fire, but I should have charged them into melee just to try and shut down that shooting. Or ideally should have got the snow leopards in on them, but I really wanted to finish off those spawn. You can see my units in the middle are all activating their by our blood, I think it's called. Is that what it is? By our blood passive. Yep, becoming unbreakable. Still holding the middle even with the spawn there, because I don't know what's going with the snow leopards, but they seem to have a really good capture weight, and I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know exactly how that works. We've got Kostaltyn fighting the burning chariot and some pink horrors over here, and the rest of the Kossars are sort of pushing through to try and clear out all these pink and blue horrors. Now the Zargard are here, they're also engaged. Not really pushing in very well. I might have been able to do this a bit better, because you can see they're still holding formation. Maybe if I drag them into it, I don't know, I might have to play around with that. There's some weird things with formation fighting. Flamers over here, got an absolute number on these Kossars again. And the heals and the spawn have been quite effective. And you can see finally, I've had enough. I send the snow leopards in to try and deal with the flamers, and Kostaltyn has made his way back in here as well. Probably thinking I can get a bit of a heal on these snow leopards and help them out a bit. Yeah, he's coming in. Now that Kairos is on the ground, I think I'll switch on to Kairos. Try and do some damage to him. But it's never a good idea to even bother attacking Kairos, because he's just so resilient. There's a fight going over here. Yeah, a bit of shooting over the walls onto these Forsaken. I'm a bit slow moving in to capture this point, but you can see I've noticed now that I've dealt with the pinks and the Zargard, and the Kossars now going in to hold point 3. Those guys are still going, so I guess they've done alright. They've only lost 28 models. And what have they done damage-wise? 800 gold value, so they haven't really made their value, but there's still plenty of them left. They've still got plenty of ammo, so probably still get some good use out of them, even though I wrote them off a little while ago. Kostaltyn and the snow leopards going hard on these spawn of Tzeentch and Kairos. Now all this shooting is coming in. These leopards are not going to survive. They're not very tanky. They've got 20 armor and only, what, 3,000 hit points? Yeah, so they're not going to survive very well at all. Kostaltyn doesn't have a huge amount of armor, but he has... what's it? Is that the one? No. Urson's Ward. So if Urson's Ward, once he gets down below 25%, he heals 0.4% per second. I thought he had another ability that made him better when he got weaker, but maybe I didn't take it, or I was imagining it. You see, I'm trying to get a bit of a firing concave here onto these blue horrors from the Ice Guard and the Kossars that have come back in to sort of try and hold on to this point. You're more effective shooting the blue horrors with Kislev, because as soon as you engage them in melee, your infantry starts getting in their own way, so you can't really get as much damage as you'd like. Kind of all missed this action on the flank, but I had to send over some Warbear riders to assist the armoured Kossars that were over here, because they were getting attacked by Chaos Knights of Tzeentch, so the Warbears have come over and they're shutting down the Chaos Knights quite handedly. You can see they're barely taking any damage, but just absolutely tearing the Chaos Knights apart. There's another thing I really like about the Kislev infantry. You can shoot flyers that are in your general area, so MrGoodCat has obviously temporarily forgotten about these Screamers, but you can see he brings them back in pretty quick. There was a nice Tzeentch army ability knocking out my 2 units of Kossars that were there. But I have more Zargard coming in now. Kostaltyn is still going okay, so I don't know what I'm doing with him. Might have forgotten about him temporarily, bit of a lapse in micro. See here, I've got a triple cap. So at this point, it's pretty much all over. I'm just now setting up to make sure that I can hold on to at least 1 point, so I don't need to try and fight for all of them. But I'm going to try and pressure and push forward from the points to delay Tzeentch as much as possible. So this one I know that I might lose, but I'm not going to send... Well, maybe I am. So I am going to send more units in there. I don't know why I'm sending Great Weapon Zargard, but I'm sending Great Weapon Zargard into the middle where there are flamers. Kostaltyn is still just sort of chilling and watching this fight. The Warbear Riders have come down. They will absolutely tear apart these flamers. And Kostaltyn, I've realised, it's just sitting there and setting back in. But Firestorm of Tzeentch did some good damage to the Zargard there. Kairos has gone in on the regular Kossars, throwing down a regrowth on himself, keep his health high. Just, his combat stats are not very high at all, but he's super survivable with regrowth, with the barrier, with his mobility and his mass. He's can actually get in and engage units like this quite effectively. get back up in the air, get his barrier back, and you'll be fine. At this point, it's all over. Unless Tzeentch can get a triple cap, which they've got no units even anywhere near the 2 side points, and I've got armoured Kossars on each of them, which are relatively hard unit to shift at the best of times. So we'll just speed it up here a little bit as the last few points tick by, and good game to my opponent, MrGoodCat. And that was the series. So I managed to take that one 2-0. We were playing a best of 3, and we had a bit of time left. We're in voice chat, so we decided to play another game. And they weren't all stomps. MrGoodCat did actually defeat me in the 3rd match that we played, but I forgot to save the replay for that one. But it was Nurgle versus Slaanesh. Have a look at how everybody went. Kostaltyn was just there to survive. Chariots, I did not perform very well with them at all. The armoured Kossars did their job, so see, nothing's really getting massive amounts of value. The Warbear Riders did, but that's because they basically wiped out the Chaos Knights and then came in and dealt with some Flamers. And these Ice Guards with swords, despite me writing them off early on, actually just carried on and still had half health left at the end of the game. 65 kills and 1300 value, so that was quite impressive. I should have probably paid a little bit more attention to them. The Snow Leopards, not huge value, but they're pretty cheap units, so they managed to do their job. They were a very good, fast, reactionary, cheap anti-large unit. As for Kairos, 1900 value, 150 kills, quite good there. The Burning Chariot I was a bit disappointed with, so I'm not sure if maybe he needs to be further, more directly above units, kind of like breath weapons from Warhammer 2. But his damage to the single entities wasn't that impressive, and he did use up all the ammunition. And I'm not sure. He didn't seem to get a great amount of kills or even a massive amount of damage. But the pink horrors here, they did quite well. Pink and blue horrors always seem to do well above their value. So Doom Knights never came in. Chaos Knights didn't do a whole lot. They ran into armoured Kossars and then had the Bear Riders come and clean them up. Spawn did pretty good. Flamers did pretty good. Yeah, so a couple of the pink horror units actually did quite a lot of damage, but I guess there was just a lot of armoured Kossars and they were able to shoot back and hold their morale and break the blue horrors. So thanks to MrGoodCat for those games. Looking forward to the next ones, and hopefully there'll be some more from Logic series. Have a look at I'll link his channel down below if you haven't seen him already. But he does a lot of good content, both domination and land battles, and I think even streaming campaign. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.